Welcome back to Castlevania Symphony of the Night Decompilation on Made Up of Wires. Normally I'd send you to soten.z.dev, and I had this page loaded just seconds ago, and then I decided to hit refresh, and it unloaded on me. So if you don't want to go there, you can look for the Soten Decomp project on GitHub, and none of my tabs are loading today, it looks like. This might be a short stream, depending on, on what we can get done. It will be a short stream. Anyway, we've been working on Karasuman in the clock tower, and we're going to do a little more of that today. Let's see what's next. I did not get this compiling specifically for the PSP yet. That would involve probably bringing in all of this data, and either that or mapping all the symbols. It's a lot of symbols, so I'd rather import the data since the data has to be imported anyway. I can get rid of this, actually. I don't need these definitions. That should still work. What I want to do is probably look at the attacks. Each of the attacks is a different entity. Basically, anytime you see a projectile or anything like that, it's probably an entity. Let's look at what's remaining there and see what sizes we have. Maybe choose the smallest one. The feather attack looks like the smallest one. I think that, if I remember correctly, the feather attack just kind of spreads out in a predefined pattern, one direction or the other. Looks like there's some randomness in there. We'll take that and we'll go to decomp.me. What I do need to remember, and we should be able to get it, I'll copy everything over from I'll keep the PSP version open for now, and we'll copy things over from there. I do need the entity extension that we added last time, and I'll probably need some entity IDs, possibly. We'll see. And let's get going. So we're using decomp.me as always to do the decompilation. Decomp.me gives us a C editor as well as the assembly code that we want to match and the assembly code that we're currently generating. We have some errors in the M2C generated code, and so we'll fix some small things first and then we'll get into it. This one looks pretty simple, so hopefully we can get done pretty quick and move on to another one. It would be nice. Oh, did I not choose the preset? It looks like I didn't choose a preset here. This actually is matching. M2C did all the work for us. We're not quite done. We do have a few more things to do. Can't just leave it like that, but pretty nice that we got as far as we did. So first we're going to replace all the names. arg0 is going to be called self, and this reference to a global is actually going to be an einit, and we'll take away the reference down here. So there's a little bit of cleanup, and it probably won't match on the PSP yet, but we'll get it up as far along as we can, and then move over there. We might not need much of anything, actually. Create entity from entity is a function which, as the name suggests, is going to create a new entity using this as the parent. And so we're going to look at what entity 2 is. And that is explosion. And we'll use the EID form of this, which will work on the PSP then as well. E-explosion is undeclared. These are pretty common, so it probably actually would be good to move those into a shared header. But for now, we'll just make it define here. And let's get rid of some variables, get rid of some comments. 3b, so 40 in hex would be 64. B is 11, so I think this is 59. Let's see if I'm right. Looks like I am right. So a few things. Facing left is treated as a Boolean almost always. So I'm pretty sure that we can use a not there instead. I want to try to get rid of as many of these variables as I can. Some of them will be needed, like we'll need an entity variable because that will be used throughout. I would kind of like, if possible, to short circuit destroy entity, but it doesn't look like I can. So it looks like basically this function is called and then used to create. Oh no, it is the feathers, and then when those feathers are finished, their step is going to be incremented, and then they're going to destroy themselves. So they're going to replace themselves with an explosion and then destroy themselves. And it looks like that's what this flag is. They're going to keep moving until they reach some position where that flag is set. Let's see. The shifts are a little funny here. Shift by C is going to be fixed to float. I think I have that in there. Float to I. Looks like the negative should be inside here. That did change this a bit. So where the negation is important. There we go. Let's see if there's anything else. The multiply by 60, is that interesting in any way? So cosine, sine, those are going to take what we call a float. It's a PlayStation format fixed point value where 20 bits are used for the integer portion signed and 12 bits are used for the fraction, which is why the shift from 12 shift 12 works. Let's see. I think we can get away with just var S0 here. And I have a utility that I use called x to I thought I had hex to fix or float. Let's create that. I just don't like doing these conversions in my head. This one should be pretty simple. It should be 1/8, I think. Let's try it and see. I think it's just 1/8. Actually, this is going to be 1/2. So let's find this line here. And so what we want is this hex 800 to stay there. but we're going to use the float macro. And we're going to say 0.5. And yeah, that comes back that way. And this one is going to be 0.125. We don't need no stinking. Yeah, so I don't think that there is a need for this temp v1 at all. So we'll get rid of that. And then we have S0, S registers. So this S0 indicates that it's going to the S registers. S registers typically are used for variables. So I do think that that is probably reasonable. So let's call it rotate or angle. Yeah, angle's probably good. And I think that looks pretty good. I think we're going to be at least 90% on the PSP side. There wasn't actually any other context that we needed. So let's go grab the PSP version. That one worked out pretty good. Thank you, M2C, for doing all the work for us. And so one is entity feather attack. I'll try to remember to choose the right preset this time. And we'll see how close we are. There wasn't any new context here. All right, and so this tells us what we got wrong. Let's look at what we have here. So this is being assigned directly to rotate, and instead, basically, we're inverting this. So rotate is getting assigned, and then we're assigning angle to the rotate variable. This might be a pass-through assignment. We'll have to see which way it goes. There is a sign extension here, so let's try doing that. Let's say angle equals, and see if that gives us what we want. Not quite. The SEH that's missing may indicate that this is a sine 32, and that would make sense. But we're not getting what we want there. We are getting this assignment to S. Let's try one more way. So this is bizarre. I mean, you don't necessarily consider this happening. Let's separate these so it looks a little obvious. We'll make a note here. So the angle variable is getting assigned the result of this expression, and then we're assigning the rotate field to angle, but then we're reading it right back. And we know that this is happening because this is an unoptimized build, and so all the instructions, regardless of their usefulness or not, are encoded as machine code. So we wouldn't see this on the PlayStation version of the game, and obviously the code worked the same, and it does exactly the same thing, but on the PSP we need these extra instructions, even though they're superfluous with regards to the logic. No comment is necessary there. So when we're decompiling, if you see something like this as a reviewer, you're going to know immediately that this is some type of PSP-ism that we need to get this to work correctly. So where the negation happens here is important. And it looks like it's not necessarily happening in the right place. The math looks a little off. So the PlayStation is going to optimize these expressions and turn this into a multiplication, but it looks like it's actually a shift left, so maybe a multiply by 4, and then another multiply by 15. Not 15, sorry. Multiply by 4, and then a multiply by what? How do I get to hex 60? Multiply by 24, which is 18. So let's try that. Those values don't mean much to me. 4 and 24. Up here, though, we're seeing something different. We're getting a multiply by 2 and then a shift left by 5. And the shift left by 5 looks similar to what's down here. A shift left by 5 is the same as multiply by 64. So let's multiply this by 2 and then shift by 5. Let's see if that gets us what we want. There's an ad here that's funny. Let's look at so this was, yeah, it's getting a multiply by, I guess let's try that. Hex 60 is 96. And so this looks like times negative 96. Again, those values don't mean anything to me, but it looks like that is more correct. Get rid of this negation now. I wonder if we can switch this around. I like this form better, but it might not compile to the same thing. Yeah, that actually looks better. All right, so where the negation here is important as well. And it looks like we're matching now. We just have symbol differences, which is not an issue. So this looks like it's matching on the PSP as well. And this is so simple, except for the entity extension that... oh, and the entity extension is actually symbols mapped already. So this will compile on the PSP as well. We do have some difference here, though. Where the negation is looks different. Whether the shift happens first or not. Let's get rid of these. Friends. Let's try again. The precedence should force this. Let's try one more time to get this out here. Yeah, it doesn't work. All right, so unfortunately, there is a difference between the two. And so I'm going to have to macro this. I don't like that. Is there something else we can do? I don't think so. The shift by 5 is a little strange, but it's not uncommon. What if we did this? What if it's a multiply by 64? Does that make a difference? And what if it's a multiply by negative 64? So that's still working. So let's try... Oh, of course it's still working, because I'm doing the unconditional part. Hey, Valerius. Merry Christmas to you as well. Appreciate the kindness. It's off by 1, multiplied by 32. So this still works. Let's try this on the PlayStation and see if that works there. That would be great. It does. Perfect. And so this now doesn't require any conditional compilation either. Ooh. But it didn't work. Because I chose the wrong value. That worked. Why did this not complain over? It did complain and I just missed it. Nice. All right, so now we're working on both sides. No funny business, no shifts. Just something that looks much nicer. So let's go. We should be able to take this as is. And this was the feather attack. It should work on both the PSP and the PlayStation. Okay. PlayStation's fine. We don't have an explosion. Entity ID defined yet for the PlayStation, so let's go do that. And unfortunately, so I've been trying to get this change in for quite a while to get conditional compilation. Define reference to D_PSP explosion. Oh, it's possible. It's possible that this is just a constant. It is just a constant. Yeah, that happens sometimes as well, and I'm never sure why. So it looks like at some point when they were building the PSP version, they decided that they wanted globals for all the entity IDs, and there's initialization, like constructors in every stage that sets these globals to specific values, but it looks like they didn't necessarily do it consistently everywhere. Hey, Jamis son, Merry Christmas to you too. All right, so we got the feather attack done. Let's see, I have 18 minutes. Let's see if we can get one more done. The Raven Absorb is the next smallest. See if that one goes as well. We'll start with I think we'll start with the PSP version, since I have that preset set. A little trickier, not terrible. This is going to be I'm going to make it an unsigned 8 array. And we're at 58%, not as good. In general, the PSP, starting with the PSP, we don't get as high of a match because M2C is tuned more for GCC output than unoptimized MetroWorks output. But we'll see if we can converge relatively quickly. So I'm going to go through. We do have the entity extension timer here, so we're going to have to go through and grab that. Let's do that. Should have that. It's not feather attack. Let's go grab that from Karasuman. So this is an alternate form that you can do. These are called anonymous structs. You put a struct directly into another struct, or a union in this case, or a variable for that matter, and just give it the field name, and you can access all of the fields directly, and there's no type name associated with it. Not dissimilar from anonymous classes or functions in other programming languages. Fall through here is interesting. No comment was generated, which is a little strange. I guess maybe that's just a M2Cism for MetroWorks that I'm not familiar with. I typically don't start with MetroWorks, so that could just be the way that it works. So we have a timer here for Karasuman that we found last time. SP10 is always going to be ARG0. Again, that's kind of a M2Cism where it gets assigned to a local space or local place on the stack. But there's really not a variable for it. It just gets pushed to the stack as part of the unoptimized compilation. So I think we have one variable here, and it's going to be angle, just like the last one. And the rest of these will go away. And we might have something similar to the other one. Oh, I screwed up something along the way. The P10. That's self. There we go. Oh, we're already at 94% just with those changes. That's pretty good. So this is going to be an or equals. Get rid of this variable. I'm guessing oh no, we do need a variable here because flags is getting pulled out. No, random doesn't do this. Yeah, so these are they're getting assigned to registers A0 and A1, and so M2C doesn't know that those aren't an argument because I don't have any function signatures for random. And so it assumes that those are arguments. And they could be, but in this case, they're not actually arguments. And all of those go away now. And then temp v1 will also not be a real variable. And it's gone already. Right, so 200 something's different. We'll figure out what those are. 15 params is not getting checked against the explicit 0, just against not 0. And then 22, it looks like the same thing. Yep. It's going to be a not facing left. And that's it. And we have the same things here, where this is going to be a float 0.5. And do we have others? 38 is going to be 64 minus 8. So what is that, 56? Which tool is being used for this? So this is decomp.me. So we extract the assembly with splat, usually. And then take that assembly and use decomp.me. So we have the C source code that is our candidate for a match. The target assembly that came from the game, and then on the right side, the assembly that our C code is producing. Logically, it makes a little more sense to me that this would be C and what we're producing, and then what we're trying to match, or what we're trying to match what we are producing, and then the C code, something along those lines. But that's the way it is, and as long as you know which column is which, you're okay. But this is a perfect match now on... It's kind of rare that all the symbols work out just fine, but it is matching just fine. See if there's any other cleanup I can do beforehand. Flags and other things like that will get replaced, draw mode, with enums, with our linting tools. 3D, D is 3 less than 64, so I think this is 61. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Decomp.me is very nice. So we have presets. The hardest part, I think, with getting this set up is figuring out your compiler. So PSP, there's several different presets. So the compiler comes with a particular version of SDK. And then what are the compiler args? And I know Biz Murphy on this project, as well as some others, have written tools basically to permute all of the different... so when we have a function where we know what the implementation is, something relatively simple, for example, go and permute all of the different options to try to figure out what the right settings are there. Because that can be hard. All right, let's get this from the PlayStation then. Get that version. This one was Raven Absorb. That one actually much better than I expected to. And so there we'll choose the PlayStation and use our Soten preset. And I'm going to grab all of the context to get that entity extension. And then we'll grab the code, and I'm expecting this to compile and match right away on the PlayStation. But if it doesn't, we'll see what's going on. So it does, except for this symbol, and that makes sense because the symbols are going to be different. And so we do have to, since I don't have that mapped yet and I haven't pulled those in, we're just going to keep them as two separate files right now, and then when I bring in that data later, we can unify those symbols. All right, so on the right is the PlayStation version, on the left is the PSP version, and this is Raven Absorb. So we replaced the include ASM macro, which would normally inline the ASM into this function with our C. Try the PlayStation one, that worked fine. And then I'll go grab the code from PSP, not the URL. All of the code. And that one works as well. So we have, can we do one more? I don't know. So the next smallest is Carsuman Feather. Let's see how that one goes. This time we'll start with the PlayStation. Keep flipping back and forth. And we started that one already, so presets are correct. I'm gonna grab the context as well. It's flea armor. And let's get a new decomp with our new context. In this case, M2C wasn't able to figure out the function signature, so I'm going to give it a function signature to help it along. And oops, only one global here, and this actually is the same initializer data that was used, I think, either in Feather Attack or Raven Absorb. We've seen this variable already. 97% is pretty good, but the code looks a little gross. So let's get it cleaned up and see if we can get another match. Looks like we have a couple different angles here. 3F is 63. Where is our trouble? So this section down here looks like it's closest to not matching. Temp low. Try to get these ordered. Usually these are in specifically XY order. So we have S2. S2 looks like it is a scale. We'll call that scale. Multiplier. Temp S0 we'll call angle. The 900 I am going to need some help with that. 800 I can deal with. 900 not so much. Oops, hit it in the wrong tab. Apologies. So I'm going to make a new utility called hex2 float. I don't like the float name, but that's what it was called long before I got here. And this time we're not going to divide by 65,000. We're going to divide by what? 1 shifted by 12 Just 4096. I should have known that. (9/16), of course. Oh, duh. That was easy enough to figure out. I need to change the output to float instead of bits. And we'll replace that here. And we have this timer. Where is the timer getting set? I'm in the middle of all this. Looks like the order is off here. This is going to be Karasuman timer. Set to 64. Let's try moving that down. Not quite right. Better? Nope, not any better. Yeah, the ordering there is off, but we'll figure that out later. This we saw a bunch earlier. So there's this odd shift +4, blah, 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 all this stuff. This is a divide by equals 16. And then we're going to get rid of all of this other stuff. And same thing down here. A lot of code for those divisions. It's not working out like I wanted, but I'm almost positive that's what it's going to be. Oh, my time is up, but we'll finish this and see if we can get it. Oh, was this a minus equals? Yeah, sorry, it's a minus equals. Minus equals velocity. That's why it wasn't working. And same thing with y. Let me get rid of a bunch of this other code. This. The rotation, we have a macro for the rotation as well. I probably should grab that. I think it's out of 4096. I don't have a... Oh, I do. I do actually have one. Looks like it's 5.625 degrees. I don't have that macro, though, in my... in my context. More things. So it looks like there's some issues with the math that aren't quite right. This is fix 1.5. It's adding 0.5. No, it's not. It's much less than that. So again, hex to fix. (1/32). So I could try to work out the ordering here. But I think what I'm going to do is grab the PSP version and we'll finish that off, and then I think I'll call that a day. That's not too bad. I think we can get rid of most of these temp variables. This is going to be a plus equals. That should actually help quite a bit. And probably these varv zeros as well. Yeah. All right. That looks nicer. Let's grab the PSP version and then hopefully we can call it a day. We'll have gotten 3 more of the Arsuman functions completed. Oh, nice. Definitely a time to reprogram. Nice to have you back, Eldritch. Merry Christmas. You see how close we are. Oh, 95%, better than I expected. It looks like these are getting set much earlier than when they were set originally. We're missing something. Missing a few things. 35. Looks like a plus equals. Oh, that was it. So again, the rotation here will be using the rotation macro, and I probably should write a lint for that because I'm gonna forget. Let's look at how often rotate is used without that macro, pretty much universally. So it is used some places, but it's a pretty easy lint to write. We have lots of these lints elsewhere, and the float and fix lints already basically work the same way. We just have to change what the conversion is from the number into the angle that goes into that rotation macro. So I think I'll probably do that. Maybe that'll be my Christmas gift to the world. But we have another one done. Karasuman Feather as well. And let's actually, before I copy this over, let's make sure that it works on the PlayStation. No reason that it shouldn't work on the PlayStation. So far these have been identical for both versions, except for one small part of the Karasuman logic, where there was some extra code. I think this 80cc is... no, that one wasn't duplicated like I thought. Merry Christmas, Ansh. Appreciate it. Okay, we got them both. And they both work. I wasn't sure that Karasuman, after that main state machine, I wasn't sure that it was going to go as easily as it has been. I think there's only 2 more, or is there 3 more here? 2 more. Orb attack and Raven attack. Like we said from the beginning of Karasuman, there's a lot of code for what effectively could just be juggle the boss into the corner and stun lock him. But we're getting through it, and we should be done pretty soon. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see if I can get the status page loaded for the Symphony of the Night decompilation project. I think the GitHub page is loaded, or will be loading. We'll see. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Browser issues. It's not going to load. I was going to sign off with... oh, come on. And it loaded to a white screen. Of course. That's just me needing to close some tabs. So, because I can't get those tabs loaded, I'll send you to Soten.fun. Soten.fun is a wiki that several of us work on occasionally that has different details about the game implementation and different things that we've found. A lot of this information is duplicated elsewhere. Some of it's unique. One of the pages that I made goes through all of the overlays. Some interesting things here about the PSP port. There's some interesting build things that I think I'll talk about maybe sometime next year, about several of the symbols that we have that really do need, they're kind of circular references, and how we can maybe build a build system that reproduces those references at build time instead of having them hard-coded. And then we'll look at that. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and if the page would load, it would say that. But yeah, trying to get back to source. That's all I got for you. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'll be off tomorrow, and maybe I'll be back. What day is it? It's Wednesday. So yeah, I'll be back next week before the new year. Merry Christmas all. Adios.